So, can you tell me about your role in the Quebec student strike this time around?
Um, I don't have like an organization role, I guess. It's mostly like as a student and as a like activist in Montreal, I feel my role is trying to being part of more radical groups and and like publicize like radical actions to because like there's a momentum right now, and like I feel people in Quebec are more open to these questions, and like people talk about anarchism, people talk about direct action, people talk about direct democracy, and there's like a curiosity about it. So I feel that's the role I can play, and also like yeah, organize. Like what is really interesting about this strike right now is that it's not only a student struggle, it's not only a student question, but it's also it's moving through a social crisis, and I feel like the people in the neighborhoods are being mobilized. They're taking the streets also, and that's what's beautiful, and that's what we see for the last 2 or 3 weeks now. And but that's really a spontaneous thing right now, and I feel like activists that have like more knowledge and experience in like neighborhood organizing and stuff like that can be really useful to make it like to have like clear principles adopt and like clear views and yeah.
Can you tell me more about the groups you belong to and how they got involved in the strike at the neighborhood level, or first like how has it morphed from supporting the general strike to bringing it back to the neighborhood level?
Like the group, well, I would say mostly this is like affinity groups with whom I'm involved, and that I feel are useful and effective right now in the strike. And because like in the student associations, there's a lot of like bureaucracy, and I'm not sure right now. I think we need to have people involved in them, but we also need people like in affinity groups that can act fastly and use direct actions and stuff that can be done by the associations and by the unions. So yeah, I'm mostly involved with affinity groups, and right now we're working on creating a like neighborhood assembly in Centre Sud, which is a poor neighborhood, working class neighborhood, and that's the other thing I guess like I'm part of right now, creating a committee in the neighborhood. Yeah.
You talked about how you lean toward the more radical side. Do you not see the casserole and the student talks as being effective? Do you see that the movement, or at least part of the movement, should go in a different direction?
I don't think they should go in a different direction, but like I feel we should always go like more deeply in the way we're going, and I think that the way we're going right now is good, but like the casserole is a really beautiful like it's really beautiful, it's really like it touched me a lot, but like I said, it's not clear right now like what people ask and why people are on the street, because when you're like in the streets with your casserole, there's so much like sounds around you, you can't talk with people, and that's the thing also, like you don't know why your neighbor is on the street, and that's why like autonomous assemblies in the neighborhoods are necessary, and I and I think they have to touch other questions than than the fees in the universities, and radical stuff like gentrification, which is like a big problem in Montreal. Montreal is one of the last cities in North America where there's still, like, I'm talking about big cities, where there are still working class and poor neighborhoods near the downtown, and that's a clear attack of the government's right now to try to like put that away, but that still exists, and that's what is so interesting about Montreal. So questions like that, question about gentrification, about immigrations, about people without status. There's a lot of questions that can be discussed in the neighborhoods, and also about the student questions and student movement. There is three main unions, two that are really like moderate and near some political parties, but there's also La Classe, which is the most radical one, and I think like La Classe is going on the good way, like, but there's still a lot of things to that have to be criticized inside by the activists in La Classe, and because there are like different branches, some are more moderate and some are more radicals, and that's always this struggle going on, and I feel like making it bigger can only be like useful for the movement.
Can you tell me a bit more about about gentrification in the neighborhood, and how communities are fighting that, and how organizing at the community level, you know, how that kind of has an impact in these struggles too?
Here in Centre Sud, there is like the city wants to like create a lot of condos, like 2,000 for the next years, and a group of residents of the neighborhood tried to organize last year, but then the strike came, and like people were involved in the strike, in the student strike also, and couldn't do like both at the same time, and so that was like a problem, like having to deal with the two attacks. But now that there is like the casserole, it really links, like it really makes like the link between the two struggles, and we have to use that, like these are part of the same attack, of the same austerity plan, and these are not like struggles we can fight separately, and we have to also like talk to people and making them understand that this is like concerted efforts by the governments, and but like the struggle against gentrification is like a very difficult struggle, I guess, because at like on one side you want to like make like the neighborhood more attractive, like for the people living there, for the poor people, for the working class, but at the same time making it sometimes just brings rich people. So yeah, that's a difficult struggle, but there are some neighborhoods in Montreal that really succeeded in like fighting against gentrification and creating community spaces that are for the community there. So.
Okay, so do you see a solution to the gentrification problem, since you said there is this kind of balance between the of keeping the neighborhood nice and letting it still be accessible to poor people?
Um, a solution, I don't know. Uh, like I said, like it's a difficult struggle, and it's difficult to fight a system that is already like going on, and like when there are like artists and students are often like the first people that gentrify a neighborhood. So when it begins, it's hard to stop it. But I guess like there are a lot of like things and projects we can have that will that could stop it, like co-ops, like housing projects for the community, community centers, also like having like shops and grocery stores that are accessible and that are not like that are for the working class and often by the working class, and bringing people together is also a way to like just talking to your neighbor and like just like understanding this process could be like a good way to try to stop it.
Sorry. I guess one of my questions would be, what would you say to the listeners in Alberta and beyond, what to English Canada about this struggle, about what's really going on here? Because our media, says Quebec is a bunch of entitled, children and really negative stuff. And so one of the things I really am interested in is your particular view on what struggle in Quebec is about and what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. I know like the media's like outside Quebec could really use it as a way to like criticize or minimize the struggle, but I guess that a lot of people are also really inspired by what's going on, and that even the big medias can't hide that. People know, people see, and even if like they don't have like the right information, like I think like often they feel that something beautiful and something big is happening, and I feel like that's what's going on outside of Quebec. Like, and you can see that the casserole movement, for example, is taking place like outside Quebec, and I feel like the struggle in Alberta should, like from what I know and from what I heard, is really difficult, and there's a lot of like things to fight, and sometimes like when you see things going on, things being better in other places, you wish you could be there, but the struggle is also very important, even if it's very different in other places like Alberta, which I feel it's harder. Like it's harder to mobilize. It's harder to like interests against us are stronger, are better organized, and yeah, I guess I would send a word of solidarity and like hope for Alberta.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think so.
Okay, thank you very much.